This is Lydia Prashevsky, and I'm going to conduct a brief lesson on when we should use the phrases so and I and so and me in sentences. To do this, I will need to explain a little about pronoun case. Often we hear children saying something along the lines of, "Sam and me are playing a game. Do you want to join?" And quickly, an adult will step in and correct the child by saying, "It's Sam and I. Sam and I are playing a game." Because of this, we have the idea ingrained in our minds that we should always say Sam and I or so and I. For example, on this slide, someone is saying, "Martha showed Sue and I her engagement ring, and it is just spectacular." This is not correct, and I'll explain why and how to correct it in a moment. So really the sentence should be, "Martha showed Sue and me her engagement ring, and it is just spectacular." This might sound awkward to you, but it is correct. Another way this sentence could be said is, "Martha showed us her engagement ring, and it is just spectacular." So this is another way of getting around anything that might sound a little odd to you. To explain why it is correct to say Sue and me in the last sentence rather than Sue and I, we have to understand a little about pronoun case. In English, we essentially have three cases: subjective, possessive, and objective, but we will mostly focus on the subjective and objective cases in this lesson. The possessive case is pretty self-explanatory. We use the possessive pronouns when we want to explain that an item belongs to someone. For example, "That is my computer." First, we will look at the subjective case. These pronouns act as subjects in a sentence. For example, the sentence, "We are leaving for school," the word "we" is the subject. We cannot use the sentence "us are leaving for school." That's just, it does not sound correct, and it would not sound correct for somebody who is a native English speaker. And we know it's not correct because "us" is not in the subjective form, whereas the word "we" is. Our next sentence, "You need to pick up pizza tonight," the word "you" is the subject, and it's in the subjective form. In the sentence, "He is late to rehearsal as usual," he is the subject, and he is the subjective form. People tend to get the most confused about the subjective and objective cases when there's a compound subject or compound object. So compound meaning two or more. We have the sentence, "Sue and John should meet sometime." Sue and John are the subjects. That's a compound subject. There's more than one. But it gets a little more tricky when one of the subjects is a pronoun. So we have the sentence, "Paul and I plan to watch a movie on Netflix." The sentence, "Paul and me plan to watch a movie on Netflix," is not correct because the word "me" is not in the subjective form. "I" is in the subjective form, and Paul and I, those are the subjects of that sentence. Next, we'll look at the objective case. So we use the objective case when pronouns are a direct object, an indirect object, or object of a preposition. So first we'll look at direct objects. So we have the sentence, "Dad took her to the doctor." Dad is the subject of the sentence, took is the verb, and the word "her" is the direct object because it's receiving the action of the verb took. So it has to be in the objective form. We can't say "Dad took she to the doctor" because she is the subjective form. Now, when we have a compound object, "Dad took Lucy and me to the doctor," if there's a pronoun involved, you have to put it in the objective form. And again, it might sound a little awkward, but it's correct. You can fix this by simply saying, Dad took us to the doctor. It doesn't sound quite as clunky. Looking at indirect objects, we have the sentence, the coach threw her the ball. So the word coach, or the phrase the coach, that's the subject of the sentence, threw is the verb, and ball is the direct object. It's what was thrown. Now the recipient of the ball is this person, this woman, her. Her is the indirect object, recipient of the direct object. And because it's an object, it has to be in the objective form. So we use the word her and not she. It would not be correct to say the coach threw she the ball. Now when we have a compound object, and if that compound object uses pronouns, again, they have to be in the objective case. The coach threw her and me the ball. It might sound awkward, but it's correct. And another way around it is to just say the coach threw us the ball. Continuing with the objective case, we'll talk about objects of a preposition. So you might not remember exactly what a preposition is, and that's okay. We use them regularly in speech and writing, and there are many, many prepositions. These are just a few, so words like to and for, on, from, next, off, after, and so on. So any object that comes after a preposition is considered part of a prepositional phrase and the object of that preposition. As such, pronouns that are objects of the preposition have to be in the objective case. So we have the sentence, Grandma bought the chocolate ice cream for him. So the phrase for him is a prepositional phrase. It starts with the preposition for, and the word him, that's the object of the preposition. Because of that, it has to be in the objective case. So we use the word him. We cannot say, Grandma bought the chocolate ice cream for he. He is in the subjective case. This has to be in objective case. Now, when you have a compound object, and there's a pronoun involved, again, still must be in the objective case. Grandma bought the chocolate ice cream for Sue and me. We cannot say for Sue and I. Me is in the objective case. Again, if it sounds awkward to you when you're speaking or writing, the way around it is to just use the word us. So now you know a little about pronoun case and when to correctly use I in a compound subject and me in a compound object. You can share this awesome information with your friends and be the cool guy at your next dinner party.